Hello, everyone. This is Lawrence Sutton and Chris Morris with Free Speech News, where we're not politically correct, but biblically correct. And two things you don't discuss, politics and religion. Well, guess what, Chris? We're here to discuss both today, aren't we, buddy?
That is correct. How are you doing, Lawrence, in this new year?
I know. Blessed New Year. Thank you. And hope everybody else is having a blessed New Year as well.
Yeah, I want to wish all our listeners out there, I hope you had a blessed, peaceful, Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Amen on that. So I'm going to start off right out of the chute. Have you seen the poll that was done by a company called Signal? Have you seen that poll?
Well, matter of fact, I use Signal app.
Okay. Well, no. This is a poll. This is a company called Signal.
It has nothing to do with the application?
It has nothing to do with the application. And what they have done is they have done a poll, and the poll was they're wanting to find out from Americans what is going on or what their thought process is on the Hamas and Israeli conflict or war. So what was very, very interesting is, and this is funny, is that they have found that for most Americans, Joe Biden and the leader of the terrorist organization Hamas have similar unfavorable ratings among Americans. Did you hear that, Chris?
I heard you loud and clear. This is one of the things that you texted to me earlier.
Right. So while Muslims actually have a higher view of the leader of Hamas and the Palestinian authorities, and that Jews or other Americans, they almost have an equally high view of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. But I thought that was very funny that among Americans, just all across the board, that the favorability rating of the terrorist organization Hamas and Joe Biden were almost the same. That's pretty scary.
Is that by coincidence or?
No, I mean, it's a poll. A poll. This is the poll that they've gotten. Here's the other thing. Hamas is largely seen in this poll as about the same as Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and ISIS. So more than 60% of Americans viewed Hamas the same way they viewed Al-Qaeda, Taliban, and ISIS. And while Muslim Americans tend to agree, they are over the index saying that Hamas is actually not as bad as these three terrorist organizations. This is coming from Muslim Americans. Okay? I'm just reading the poll here for you. A majority of the Muslim Americans agree that Israel does have a right to defend itself. But in stark contrast to other demographic groups, a majority disagrees that Israel should have invaded Gaza. And a majority agree that Hamas was actually justified in its attack on Israel.
And this is coming from Muslim Americans.
This is coming from Muslim Americans by a company called Signal. You can look it up.
Now, the Signal spelling of this, and I think we need to tell people, starts with the letter C.
Yeah.
As in Charlie, and then Y as in yo-yo, G as in George, N as in Nancy, A as in Apple, and L as in Lima.
Right. So you can go look this up for yourself.
It's a different spelling of signal, like what we would normally spell like a traffic signal.
Right.
Or that signal application that I was telling you about.
That's right. So I found that was absolutely amazing. And when they were asked, Americans and Muslim Americans, was anti-Semitism on the rise, 80% of Americans said yes, but only 30% of the Muslim Americans said yes. But I'm going to tell you the key part of this, and I want people to understand this, is that the majority, based upon this survey, of Muslim Americans agree that Hamas was justified in its attack on Israel. The killing of 12 to 1,400 innocent civilians
Of Israel.
who were raped, murdered, beheaded, burned alive, babies cut out of wombs,
Baked in an oven.
kidnapped, baked in an oven. I mean, we are only starting to hear what's happening. As a matter of fact, and you can go look this up as well, some of the survivors, some of the hostages that have been freed are starting to talk. And one lady in particular said that she was afraid the entire time that she was either going to be raped or murdered. Now, she said neither one of these happened, but her captors kept torturing her psychologically by saying that what happened to the one Jewish lady who they raped and beheaded, they said that they were going to be doing the same thing to her.
Yeah, they were torturing her mentally.
Now, here's the other thing that this lady said, and I've heard this happening. I've heard this not happening. I've heard this said numerous times, that there are no innocent Palestinians. And she said that she was actually kept in with a family where they locked her in a bedroom. And this family had nothing to do with Hamas, that the Hamas brought her there to be held. Now, that's not just her. There's been numerous people that have talked about that they were held in Palestinian homes and not by Hamas. The other thing is we actually had one of the people escaped. And they have come back and said that the people of Palestine were doing everything they could to help Hamas capture them while they were running and trying to evade. So, when somebody tells you who they are, you need to believe them. And these people are telling us who they are, and then they come right out and say, oh no, we don't do this, we're peace-loving and everything. But their actions speak louder than their words do. I just feel like that we need as American citizens to understand a couple of things. One, the media lies. Okay?
No doubt.
So, me and you, I will tell everybody this that'll listen, we're not being paid. We have no skin in this game. We give up our time freely to come and tell you the truth.
And try to help educate and get people to understand the truth.
That's correct. And so I want people to understand this. We're not up here making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars like a lot of these media personalities do. And when they do, you know, they get kind of where they have to say certain things or they're going to lose their job. They're going to lose their millions of dollars a year.
In other words, you're trying to say they get snowflakey.
Well, I don't know what you want to say. Only thing I know is this: is if
they're controlled.
They're controlled. If me and you, if we got kicked out today, we'd be like, well, okay. We wouldn't be happy.
It was good while it lasted.
It was good while it lasted, but we wouldn't be happy only because we couldn't get the truth out there to the people. So I just want to point that out, that there is difference in what you see on the media and what me and you are trying to do.
Right. It's a 180-degree turn.
It is. I mean, we have no skin in this game. In other words. So I tell you, I just wanted to bring this out because I tell you, I see America, if we are not careful, I think one of the reasons that the hand of protection of America has not been lifted by God Himself is because America has always defended and has been there for Israel. And I'm worried, especially when I see what's happening in these colleges and what's happening with the liberals, that not only are we seeing anti-Semitism way on the rise, even in this country, but they're even trying to change history.
Right. And what people don't understand, this media, this woke media of today's culture is trying to polarize Americans. And when people wake up and understand, they're trying to control you and polarize you into believing a lie is the truth. And that's the biggest thing. The MSNBCs, all the local medias, ABC, CBS, NBC, CNBC, CNN, they're all trash. You are not getting any facet of the truth. They twist the truth consistently.
They do. But again, this is why we're here. We're trying to help people and to educate people and say, look at two sides of the story. And I'll be the first one to say this. Listen to what these people are doing and what they're saying. Don't just use our news. I mean, me and you, we look at liberal news even.
Right.
Because I want to try to be what Bill O'Reilly used to say, fair and balanced. But
they continue to opine, as Bill O'Reilly says too. They put that spin.
That is correct. So I worry because of what God told Abraham in Genesis chapter 16. I will bless those that bless you, and I will curse those that curse you. And I really believe what God says is the gospel, like we used to say. When somebody says something, well, when God says, it's the gospel. Kind of like what Mama says.
It's the gospel.
It's the gospel. Okay? He actually wrote the gospel.
You said something, and I'm going to tell you my personal feeling. We have not, we never pre-discuss anything.
No,
you just happened to want me to see this article.
That's correct.
And you sent it to me by text. And I'm being honest, I opened it sitting right here.
Yeah, you hadn't had time. You've been busy.
Because it's been a crazy day. Yeah. But anyway, long story short, I've had people to say there are good Muslims and there are bad Muslims. Well, I'm going to tell you, I ain't seen nothing, not one thing good about a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like for somebody to show me. I haven't found any good. Because the more I peel back the layer of the onion, they're all evil.
Well, you have to look at the Quran and what the Quran states. And we are talking about a religion here, me and you. We're not talking about a sect of people. Yeah. We're not talking about a sect of people.
Right.
Just because you were born, let's say, in Lebanon or you were born in Saudi Arabia does not necessarily make you evil. It is when you follow that Quran and you go to these mosques and you believe wholeheartedly what they are teaching to you. I mean, and I would say the same thing with the churches. What are you being taught? Me and you both know that there are some churches out there that do not teach the gospel like the gospel should be taught.
As we say, they're not biblically correct.
That's correct.
They are leading men astray. And the good Lord warns us about the wolf.
It does, and I'm seeing this happen a lot. I'm going to tell you something, and I hate always talking about this, but I want people to know the danger in this. And that's even with churches allowing homosexuals to lead their congregations, even
or take place in the worship.
Exactly. Now, does a homosexual, does he need to be kicked out of church? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. As a matter of fact, I want him to come to salvation. I want him to come to Jesus. But it's no different than me saying that a homosexual should not be leading in a church, just like that if a man is in open adultery with another woman when he is married, he does not need to be leading a church. Or if a man that's not married is going out and he's partying and he is sleeping around with other women, he does not need to be leading that church or in leadership at all. That's all I'm saying. A sin is a sin. And we have tried to make this not a sin.
You're trying to tell me there's no little sin or big sin. It's just sin.
It's just sin. Okay?
Or that little white lie, as we always say.
Or a liar. I mean, or a thief. So I want to bring that up because there are numerous people that are what we would call of a Muslim descent that are not Muslims. They are Christians. So I just want that to be understood. Here's another thing that happened. And I got to tell you this story. And I'm going to ramble a little bit, I know. But the week before Christmas, I went and I missed that week. You actually had Clay Doggett on. You had Todd Warner. You had Kit Capley. You had Clay Doggett. Here's the funny
Joey
thing.
Hensley.
And Joey Hensley. I mean, you had the all-star of all-star lineup
of the state of Tennessee.
Of the state of Tennessee for conservative people. And I wasn't there. Because I had chose to take a 3-day vacation.
A sabbatical.
And take my girls to go see the Ark and the Creation Museum up in Kentucky. So got a hotel. First thing I did, I found a great deal on a hotel. Got us a really nice hotel at the Embassy Suites there in Lexington. And then, after I already got the hotel and paid for it, and we're about ready to leave out and head off, I'm like, well, I need to go ahead and buy my tickets, to the Ark and the Creation Museum. I am looking forward to this, Chris. I've been wanting to go see the Ark for years now. I mean, I think I was doing, I said I was doing it for the girls, but I was doing it for me. So I go to buy the tickets. And right before I hit send to purchase the tickets, and I'm purchasing 3-day tickets. And I mean, these tickets are not cheap.
And there are 4 people.
There's 4 people. I mean, we're talking for 3 days, it was like $500, okay, to go. But I really wanted to go. I really wanted my children to experience this. So I go and I look at rules and regulations.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right. Because guess what the Ark is? They are not constitutionalists.
A gun-free zone.
They are a gun-free zone. I have 2 philosophical differences with gun-free zones. Number one, you're making myself and a family, or my family, or any family, if you go into gun-free zones, when 98% or more of all mass shootings happen in gun-free zones. And by the way, Christians right now are not very well liked. I don't care what you say in this country. We are being attacked constantly. Okay? So not only do I have a problem with somebody taking away my Constitution and my constitutional rights, I have problems that I really view that I have no ability to defend my family, and you have put me into a shooting gallery. So I did not go. I did not purchase those tickets. And we went up and we still had a great time. Staying in the hotel, going shopping. We wound up doing other things, Chris. But I was totally disappointed. And I actually, in all fairness, Chris, I sent an email to the Ark and the Creation Museum telling them this. And even telling them I have a radio program and I will be discussing this. And guess what, Chris? Crickets. Never heard one word.
You're not going to hear a word. You can forget that.
You can forget that. But here it is, a supposedly Christian organization is taking away your constitutional rights to bear arms and to protect your family and to protect yourself, and if need be, to protect others. Because we all say this, Chris, in order for a bad man with a gun to be stopped, what does there have to be? A good man with a gun. And I don't care if it's the police or anything else, but you know what? I don't think I can take John Myers and with me wherever I go. As much as I love John. I think John's one of the best sheriffs in this country. But I'm not going to be able to take John and say, hey, John, let's go up there with me to the Ark so I can see the Ark. But I need protection. I can't do that. And I just don't have the money to pay for private security either. I mean, so...
Oh, you can't do like Justin Pearson.
No, absolutely not. And you know what? Even if I did have the money, I wouldn't do it. I couldn't do it, not as a man. So I want to put that out there. People have heard me say this before. I don't go into places that do not allow guns. Well, I'm telling you right now, and my producer here, Laura, is my witness. She'll tell you that we did not go to the Ark or the Creation Museum. Tell you the other funny thing, we went to go to this chocolate manufacturer there in outside of Lexington in Frankfort, which is the capital of Kentucky. We go to walk in, and we drove 30 miles to go to this chocolate company. Chris, I went in, we walked in, and right there was a no gun sign there. So guess what I had to do?
Turn around and walk out.
I had to turn around and walk out, but we already had chocolate on our minds. I found a beautiful, nice, gorgeous chocolate company there in Lexington. So guess who got my money and who didn't get my money?
The company that allowed you to carry a gun.
That's correct.
Versus the company that was a gun-free zone.
And as a matter of fact, I sat there and I even told the company when I walked in there, I even told them what had happened and what I'm doing and why I'm spending my money in here with you. So I just want people to understand, listen, you don't have to be ugly. I didn't cuss, I didn't yell, I didn't get ugly at all. But if you continue to support these companies that are taking away your constitutional rights, if you are continuing to spend money with these companies and these corporations that tell you that the homosexual has more rights and feelings than we as heterosexuals do, then I fundamentally have a problem. And that takes me to another thing that has happened. Did you happen to stay up for New Year's Day or New Year's
night?
Yeah,
yes,
you did.
And watch the Nashville Big Bash.
Big Bash, okay. Did you happen to see the 11 o'clock one when New York, when the Big Apple came down?
And you've seen the two men kissing that they focused on.
You knew exactly where I was going with this.
I knew exactly where you were going. They polarized right on those two queers.
Well, and here's what's bad about it. One, it was a passionate French kiss embrace.
Right.
That I would even have disapproved of if it was a man and a woman even. It was not for public.
It was sickening.
But to see two dudes with beards doing that right there was disgusting. And it was planned, Chris, because I've been watching the ball drop for years, 30, 40 years. And they typically go at the stroke of midnight, they'll go to a couple that is kissing to celebrate the new year.
Right.
And this is the first time I've ever seen that. And like I said, if it had been a man and a woman doing what they were showing, I would have had a problem with. But I had more of a problem that ABC, CBS wasn't it? CBS chose to focus on that, to push their agenda down our throats and to normalize what God said is not normal. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, Chris. I mean, do you?
No, it's not normal. That's why I said look at your national news media outlets. They're sickening. Every stinking commercial you see just about nowadays is dealing with some form of homosexuality. Like it's accepted. And we let it go on. And I've said this before. I remember in my younger days when they removed the Three Stooges from TV because they were too violent.
Right, and there was never even blood on Three Stooges.
There was never any blood. You know, and wake up, America.
You know, now we see gratuitous sex on TV. We see gratuitous violence on TV that will make you turn your head if you have any kind of filter at all. I mean, I'm no prude. I mean, I grew up and up until I was 40 years old, I was in locker rooms, my entire life. Basically from 10 to 40, let's say. And so I'm no prude by any means. And I'm really not easily offended. But it's the agenda that offends me.
Right.
That's what offends me. And as you're pushing this, what God says is not normal, you're pushing it as normal. And you are even trying, and this is the big thing, you are trying to get to the children. Let the child make up its mind when they become an adult.
You've said numerous times, good becomes evil, and evil becomes good.
Well, that's what Isaiah says. That's what God said. And that's what
it says in the good book. I mean, you've said it numerous times. And how do homosexuals produce or reproduce?
They don't reproduce, they recruit.
They recruit. And this is an ultimate form of recruitment through our sickening news media.
Yeah, absolutely it is. But I'm going to stay on this topic one more time and then we're going to leave. But did you see where we had Senator Democrat Ben Cardin? Okay, he's a senator, and he's a Democrat, Ben Cardin. His staff, a male staffer, filmed himself in the judiciary hearing room having sodomite sex.
With another male.
Well, that's what sodomite sex is.
Yes. Well, okay. I want to put that out there because some folks may not know that true meaning.
Okay.
Meaning.
So he's filming it inside the judiciary hearing.
Sacred ground as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Having that's the best way I'm going to put it. Sodomite sex. Penetration sex.
Oh, Lord.
Okay?
Come on, Lawrence.
And filming it. Now, this particular guy is out and about there. He is so out there that he's even had put on his Twitter and everything else before all this happened that he put out there. He's the one that filmed it and put it out there, thinking that nothing will happen to me. This same guy that sat there and said 3 years ago when Biden was running for president that he wanted Biden to spit in his mouth. This is how depraved and sick
this guy is.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody spit on you or spit in your mouth.
I'm going to punch you.
Exactly.
You're going to get punched.
That's correct. And
just like I told him at the Capitol, one of these people spit on me, I'm going to punch them right in the nose.
That's right.
It's sickening.
So, and I tell you something, not that the Republican Party is that perfect or that much better even. But it didn't surprise me when I first saw the story. I immediately said this had to be a Democrat staffer.
Well, are you surprised?
No, that's what I said. I mean, I just had to put it out there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. This is another subject. We're changing subjects now. What's going on in our schools allowing Satan clubs spreading across the country?
In Tennessee.
It's in Tennessee.
In Memphis.
Yes. Cordova, actually.
In an elementary school.
Yes. And one of my good friends, his daughter and his grandchildren were scheduled to go to that school, and he said, "Thank God my daughter moved when she did." So I'm going to tell you something.
Well, I say time again, number one, we got to get back to the basics.
Yep.
That includes the school system. We've got away from civics altogether. I think civics needs to start in the first grade. We'll bypass kindergarten. We can start teaching those little folks the Pledge of Allegiance, and our state pledge needs to be taught as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But our civics needs to come back, and it needs to come back now. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that everybody needs to be educating themselves, the best book ever written is the Bible. The second best book, or the second best thing ever written, is our Constitution. And folks, I'm holding up a book it's the Heritage Guide to the Constitution. It gives you play by play and the true meaning of every word in the greatest document, or let me back up, second greatest document ever written by man.
Right, that's correct.
Is this. So I've got a hardback book I got for Christmas, along with a book on John Adams, our second president. And I'm wanting to educate myself, because you better know your Constitution forwards and backwards.
Yes, you have. I tell you, I can't let this go, because I got to point out the hypocrisy here. Okay. There was an article that came out with Kim Davis. Now, if you don't know who Kim Davis was, she was the Kentucky clerk that stood up and would not marry homosexuals.
Homosexuals, yes.
Okay. This lady was put in jail. She has been taken to court by these homosexuals, and they actually won in a court of law where she owes over $200,000.
Well, it's $260,000 to be exact.
Yes.
Over $250,000.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. And here's why I bring this up. I actually had a friend of mine that I played baseball with, and he was going to get married. And his wife was Catholic. He was not. She wanted to get married by a priest. He was all for it until the priest said that he would either need to convert to Catholicism for him to marry her, or he had to sit through a bunch of classes. And he just told her, he says, I don't believe in the Catholic religion. I am not going to sit in this. So the priest did not marry him. Now, did my friend sue the priest and the church? No. They just went and found another pastor that would marry them.
Right.
But that's not what the homosexual does. The homosexual makes it into, I'm going to punish you. Look what they did to the baker.
The bakery.
They ruined the bakery because they would not bake a cake. And they said that they would bake them a cake even, but they were not going to bake them a cake what they wanted, and to celebrate a unholy union.
Mm-hmm. That it's not even recognized by God.
That's correct. But see, that's where we've gotten problems, is we've allowed government to get involved. And you see what happens when government gets involved? They screw everything up.
Who is in charge of the federal government?
We are, supposedly, according to that book you just held up, the Constitution.
That's right. We, the
but
people.
We're not taking charge.
But who is the federal government's boss?
We are.
Okay. It started with the formation of the federal government by the 13 colonies.
That's correct.
Now, the colonies now are called states, as everybody knows. So the state is in charge of the federal government. So this is where nullification comes into it's very, very important with nullification. Because with nullification, our governor can stand up and tell the federal government if they order another mask mandate from Joe Biden and his cronies, he can tell Joe Biden and his cronies to go pound sand if Bill Lee's got the backbone.
Bill Lee, not only does he not have the backbone, I don't think it's not that he has a backbone. Okay? Actually, I think it's the exact opposite. I think Bill Lee has a lot of backbone because he is going against who put him in and voted for him. And the reason why is because he is going on a Democratic platform and a Democratic agenda. I've said it, there it is. But if you want to go look at what he is doing, what he tried to get passed with the special session on guns, the 18 points that he had came out of the Democratic platform.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to tell you another thing too. Be very careful of, and I'm trying to think of the word here, I don't want to dwell on this, but when bringing false gifts. Okay, be very aware of people bringing false gifts, because when we're talking about the school choice, I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot that I have seen and I've heard about with this school choice that they're trying to bring up, where they're going to be trying to take away parental rights.
Well, Bill Lee has tried this once before.
Yes,
and he got pushback.
Yes,
but
it's happening again.
Yeah, what Governor Lee said and his staff told our legislators they would have his school choice plan by the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
Well, September's come and gone a long time ago. And guess what? They still don't have it today. So what they're trying to do, and what Governor Lee is doing, he's trying to force feed it to people, whether you like it or not. But one thing that I do know, that this covers illegals in his school choice plan, and that is BS.
So I'm going to bring it. I'm going to tell you what I've heard. Okay, I cannot confirm this because he hadn't put it out. I'm just telling you what I've heard, and what I've heard is that one of the things that they want to do is they want to make schools to be all-encompassing for children. So not only are you sending your child for school, okay, but they're also going to be having the ability or having the kids go to the doctor there without even the parents being there.
That is BS.
I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. I am hearing that they are trying to take away a lot of parental rights through the school system based upon this school choice.
Well, can we recall the governor if he does something this stupid? And yes, Governor, it is stupid if this is true.
If it's true. But why do we even talk about that, Chris? And I'm going to tell you why. When the man shut down the state, when the man said liquor stores were more important than churches were, when the man actually threatened and said that he can track cell phones to see if people are congregating. This is the United States of America. And he did this. People forget it.
Well, the TWRA is doing it too, brother.
Again.
You used to have a big game stamp when you checked in your deer.
Yeah.
That you harvested.
Right.
Now you do it by phone, and they can track you by your phone.
Right.
And my understanding, and this came from Lawrence Countyans, that a deer was killed in Wayne County, Tennessee, over in Waynesboro.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what part of the county, but it had this disease.
Oh yeah, the wasting disease.
Or that Wayne County has deer with the wasting disease,
and Lawrence County doesn't,
and Lewis County does, and I think Lauderdale County, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
But those deer are traveling. If it's right on the border down towards Iron City,
it's in here.
They're coming over here too.
Yeah.
But then the game warden was at this gentleman's house when he showed up with that deer. And they're supposed to go through some special measures when they field dress it and all that. I don't know the particulars because I don't hunt anymore.
Yeah.
But I sure wouldn't be registering my kill on my cell phone, because that's another tracking device. And if you want to get theoretical about everything, your Social Security number as a tracking device as well.
Oh, amen on that one.
Guess who started it? Democrats.
Absolutely, they did.
So everything that's the downfall of this country is started because of a darn Democrat. And then we've got Republicans who want to play on both sides of the fence as a Democrat. And I'm going to call it like it is. Richard Archie, thank you, sir. Trans Republicans. They don't know whether they're gay or straight, man or woman. And we got them in our darn, they call themselves a Republican. So I'm going to tell you how I feel. And the worst thing that we're doing as Republicans, even in our state bylaws, we're breaking our own bylaws.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. If you read, it's like 67, 68 pages, I think, the Republican bylaws.
Right.
Read
It's
the
not even
Republican
that many.
read the Republican bylaws. And if you don't agree with it, then God love you. I have no problem with that. But here's the thing: beware of wolves in sheep's clothing.
Amen. Amen.
And these people who despise this agenda are coming in and they are saying all the right things, but just like Governor Lee, and they're doing the wrong things.
That's right.
And I'm with you. I mean, I'm totally with you. Why can't we recall Bill Lee? I mean, he has no fear. I mean, he has actually told people that I know that he doesn't care what people think. Well, you know what? Okay, if you don't care what people think, I understand that. Me and you have kind of the same mentality. Mm-hmm. So I can understand that tongue in cheek, okay?
Right.
But here's the thing. Me and you are not running the state of Tennessee.
That's right.
So if you're going to say that you do not care what your constituents think, it's time for you to go. And I tell you what, why don't you put the same amount of care in the state of Tennessee as you did building Lee and Company? Because I guarantee you that Lee and Company would not have been as big and as successful as it was if you went around saying you didn't care what your customers think. Well, guess what? Every one of us constituents are your customer. We are your boss. You do not boss us.
We boss you.
That's correct.
We the people.
That's correct. And if you don't like it, then I'm sorry. Go do something else.
If you get mad about it, guess what? You got the same britches to get glad in.
Hey, listen, I'm mad about it right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here thinking about how successful this man has been on the backs of people of Tennessee. And he had a good business. Don't get me wrong. But I wish you'd go back and sell air conditioners again and start fixing air conditioners again and stop governing this state into a hellhole and turning it into California.
Well, let me give you a little bit of good news.
Yeah, I need some good news.
And I want to tell you a couple of things because I don't know exactly how much time we have left. And it gets away from us too quick.
It does.
And too fast. And I'm trying to just grasp how much we've got left. But December the 26th, our Secretary of State, Trey Hargett, sent out a letter to the election commissioners, and I'm assuming every election commissioner in all 95 counties across our great state got the same letter. And I know a lot of people have been up in arms about election integrity. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you, if people were doing what the great state of Tennessee is doing in elections, we wouldn't have the problems that we have in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada. We would be doing a whole lot better. And a couple of points I want to make. He said, number one, the Heritage Foundation has ranked Tennessee again in 2023 as the top state for election integrity. Now, that's something to be proud of. Now, is everything perfect? No. Okay? Mm-hmm. Not everything's perfect. But we've come a long way. And you will be pleased to know through prudent fiscal management, our state house and senate, that the state of Tennessee continues to be one of only 13 states that maintain a AAA bond rating from the three major credit rating agencies. And that is great. And it's on top of this achievement, we continue to rank among the lowest of states in state and local sales tax burden per capita, as well as debt per capita. And that's something to be proud of. And I want to coattail on this.
Yeah.
I talked with a guy that moved from California, from the San Diego area, to the great state of Kentucky. He is a natural-born Californian, served in the Marine Corps. I think he retired from the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
His wife is from the LA area. They're true Californians. He's also a preacher of the gospel. And he said in 2020, it had gotten so bad that they had to go. That is 100 times worse than Sodom and Gomorrah ever thought about being. So he started looking for places to plant new roots.
Yeah.
And he ended up in Kentucky, up around Paducah.
Yeah.
And I met him last week. And he told me he registered to vote in whatever county that area he lives in, up around Hickman or Hickman, Kentucky, Paducah, Kentucky. He registered to vote in that county in 2020. Guess what? Every election, he gets a mail-in ballot from the state of California with his current address in Kentucky to mail back into the state of California. I said, are you mailing one back in? He said, no, it's election fraud if I do.
That's right.
And he's 100% correct. He's smart enough to know that. But do not kid yourself and call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever this is, being a realist, that election fraud is not taking place in these states that don't give one rat's toot about election integrity.
Well, I will tell you this, Chris. We have a lot of good things that the state does. I agree with you. But if we do not stay on top of what our elected officials are doing, we will become California. It is so much easier to go along to get along.
Right.
Than to stick your head up and take a beating. And make no mistake, we're not only fighting the Democratic Party here, but we're fighting the Republican Party too, of people that claim to be God-fearing conservative Christians.
Those trans Republicans, as I refer to them.
Right. So we can have the same thing happen to us. That's happened to Georgia. That's happened to Arizona.
Pennsylvania. It can happen in a heartbeat.
It can happen in a heartbeat. And you cannot convince me. And I am one of Donald Trump's I am not a Trumper. Matter of fact, I'm probably not even going to vote for him in the primary. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just telling people that. There's a lot of things fundamentally I oppose what Trump has done and said. Okay, mainly what he's done. But I tell you this, that election was admitted to even by Elon Musk and Twitter once he got in there and said that if the FBI, the CIA, and our justice system had not stopped the information coming in from Hunter Biden, that the election would have gone differently. So say what you will about the stuffing of ballots. Say what you will about any of this stuff, Chris. The fact remains that Elon Musk, and Elon Musk, people, is not a conservative. And he will even tell you that. But he is for free speech. But he goes, think about it. He goes, I make electric cars to help the environment. He says, do you really think I'm conservative?
Yeah. Well, you brought on something. I want to, folks, mark your calendar for January the 24th. I encourage everybody to Google Steve Friend, just like I'm your friend, Steve Friend, FBI whistleblower. He's coming to this area. And he's going to be here January the 24th. We're trying to nail down an exact location. It will be at 6 p.m., but It is being brought to us by the Citizens for Renewing America. And Steve Friend is a fellow of Citizens for Renewing America. He's the guy who has come out and talked about the Department of Justice, the FBI, being weaponized against Christians and conservatives.
Right.
So everybody who cares and wants to educate themselves, he's going to be telling you what they're doing and how they're coming after the Christian conservative.
Oh, they don't even hide it anymore, Chris.
No, they're outward with it.
I mean, the Obama administration at least tried to hide it. They're not. They are so bold, and this is the reason we have to be bold. This is the reason that we have to stand up to this, because they are so bold. They're laughing in our face doing these things.
Right.
And I'm just telling you, I am at a point, and people, you may think this is, you may think I'm crazy for saying this, but we are going and we're at a point where we will be going down as a country and as a people if we do not stand up and fight.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just going to tell you this, Chris. We are losing our country. We are losing who we are.
We're losing our constitutional rights.
We are losing all of it. And I'm going to say this because I don't want people to sit here and think because I'm telling you the truth. And see, this is what the left does. This is what liberals do. You tell the truth, then you're a hater. I hate no one. I want everybody to come to the salvation of Jesus Christ. But I'm going to call out when I see things that are not right, because we are to be a watchman on the wall. Okay, Chris? And if we do not stand up and fight now with our words and through our government, Chris, make no mistake, we're going to be fighting in the trenches.
Read Matthew chapter 5, verse 44 and 45.
Yeah.
But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven, for he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and setteth rain on the just and on the unjust. So there it is, what you're talking about in a nutshell.
It is. It's kind of funny because I know you had that had those verses on your heart and everything. And actually, you know, when you text me, I actually kind of made fun of you and said, "Oh, you got a guilty conscience, Chris." and here I am, because I know what you've been going through the last couple of weeks and even today. Okay,
Yes.
and you can't talk about it right now.
I can't.
But I can still make fun of you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you got a guilty conscience here. But here I am. I've just made fun of you today, and I just go and say the exact same thing. But see, that's what Jesus wants.
That's what we're supposed to do.
That is what we're supposed to do. But you know what? Don't make any mistake when you think that when Jesus says the meek shall inherit the earth, you need to know what meek means.
That's right.
And meek means knowing how to bridle a horse or knowing when to unsheath the sword. And I'm telling you right now, if I would rather do it by words, but if we have to unsheath the sword, then we will unsheath the sword. Because I don't want to take anybody's rights away from them. I do not want to take anybody's freedom away from them. I'm a freedom-loving person. I think we should have as little government as possible even.
That's what it's supposed to be, and that's what our forefathers set up. It was supposed to be where the typical farmer went up there and served his state and came home, but you didn't have a lifetime diary to that, like Dianne Feinstein died in office. And she was a person who was of evil and brought a lot of things onto us that we shouldn't even be, that were unconstitutional. But she served her whole time, and the only way we got her out of office, she had to die.
So we have 30 seconds here, and I'm going to bring this up to you. Why aren't we fighting more, not only for America, but also for the state of Tennessee, for term limits?
That's what I want is term limits. I will tell you I'm for it, and that's another thing that I will bring up that I'm fixing to be faced with.
Because if we do term limits and we do not have to worry about these politicians turning this into a career, because make no mistake, you're not going to be in the Senate or the House making only $35,000 a year doing the work that these people do and neglecting, because $35,000 a year, you're not going to be able to do anything with your family.
We need to bring it on home. It's that time, brother.
It is that time.
God bless everybody that listens to us. God bless you, Lawrence. God bless WDXC for hosting this, and God bless our sponsor, Todd Warner,
Yes.
House member number 92.
Thank you, Todd. God bless everybody. Goodbye.